All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar tonight on Video Sunday School in the time of Corona. So we've got a great panel set here. We've got Brother Philip Booker, who is known by all and is the elder statesman here of Video Sunday School.
I'm not old. That was cold-blooded.
Not in age, just in experience. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you don't look a day past 28. And speaking of youthful vigor, we've got Brother Ray Munoz here, who also is going to be sharing some great things. He and I have gotten to talk about some of the trials and tribulations so far in having Video Sunday School happen. And we've also got the Woosleys from Dayton who are on and will be back with us in just a moment. And myself here, I got to share one of the links to a video we're doing, and I'm looking forward to getting to share whatever I and the team here can do to be able to help you all. And we've got some questions so you can help us calibrate on what's going to be most useful to you. So you might notice there is a poll to be able to help us understand where you're at right now with Video Sunday School. Have you started it? Or is this something where you came into the conversation because you'd like to make it happen and you've got a goal to get it started, but you have not gone through it yet? That helps us have an idea of, where exactly the audience is at. So I'm going to give it just a quick moment here with that, and things are coming in. So looks like there's a good amount of you that are actually already up and running. That's fantastic. So, some of the things we'll be talking about is how different people are going about it, the platforms that they're using. And it's probably about, 60-30. Thank you all for also hopping in on the other polls. The other question is your level of comfort with technology. Looks like there's a lot of people that are kind of in between. Your medium level tech. We've got a couple tech veterans here, it looks like, on our webinar tonight. And the last question that you'll notice is for the style that you're doing. Are you going to be pre-recording it and working through the compiling and being able to actually do the editing to be able to get it posted? Or are you just going live format where it's going straight into the YouTubes and into, IGTV and live and all of those wonderful things? So looks like actually, I'm a little surprised here. This is good to know. There's a fair amount of people that are pre-recorded or looking to be doing things pre-recorded. So of the respondents, 6 of them are 33% of the respondents are doing it purely live, and the 66% are doing pre-recorded. So that's going to be really fun for us to dig into that a little further. So starting off, I think it'd be great for us to be able to talk about, some of the tools that we're using for being able to get set up and get recording. So as a start, to give you guys an idea, some of the things that people may be wondering are, what type of equipment do you need? And I think the answer to that depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So Brother Philip, we actually got to talk about that the other day in regard to, what type of platforms you're using. And when we were discussing it, you're mentioning, hey, if you're going straight to YouTube, there may be certain challenges. If you're going straight to, say, Facebook Live or Instagram, there may be other considerations. And we wanted to be able to offer people kind of the easy button route versus something that, might be higher grade difficulty. You want to chime in on that for a second?
Sure. So we were This is new to everybody. At least it is to
Mhm.
us. We've been doing this for a whopping 3 weeks. So we started out, we wanted to try all of them at once. So we did Instagram Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live all on the same Sunday, and just kind of, figured out where the audience was. Um, the Instagram Live, Facebook Live, for all of those that are just getting your feet wet, barely know how to use your phone, there is no simpler way. Just do that, and you're going to be much, much happier. You can just pull out your phone and hit record. However, there are some serious limitations on these, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but you got to have an account to even view it. Some of the people that we were trying to connect to didn't have an Instagram or Facebook account, and they just want a link they can click and they want to see it. Since we're doing it live and not posting it later, um, we anyway. So another thing is with Instagram and the other one, with Facebook, your audio is really tough, especially if you're using speakers in your setup. You're getting a lot of echoes, and it's very difficult to understand. It's almost better just to not be amplified if you're
Mhm.
going straight to a phone. You're also limited by your camera. If you're using just a phone, it's typically, at least in our experience, Instagram and Facebook will drive you crazy because they want it to be in portrait mode. And so you got this tall, skinny frame. It doesn't fit the profile of your set. You have to move it back and forth. Uh, but on a positive, it's super easy to use. You can get up and running quick. Um, but we found, and where we ended up, and this is part of it because we are kind of tech nerdy, is YouTube Live with all of its complications is so much better if you're willing to invest the time. Um, Bottom line is it looks better because you can use any camera. You're not stuck on a phone. You can get your live feed from your sound directly fed into a camera. People can look at it without having an account. They can just click on your stream and view it instantly from any device. And also, even though it is more difficult, you can add overlays. So you can add text overlays, and you can add
Mhm.
images that pop in, or even videos. So YouTube Live is where we ended up, and it is some of the restrictions on that. And I don't want to take too much time, but if you're trying to do YouTube Live from a mobile device, they have a weird restriction that you have to have 1,500 subscribers to even stream from a mobile device to YouTube. So you have to go to a desktop. And when you use desktop, you have to have additional equipment like a capture card, and you have to have OBS, which is a software that does your capturing and then streams it to YouTube. So it's more complicated. Bottom line is it's complicated, but it's worth it if you have someone that's techie and can help you figure it out. But for the quick, easy button, Instagram and Facebook are going to be your go-tos.
Okay, I like it. Brother Ray, you want to chime in?
So we are. I'm sorry. Wait, what's the question again?
Just like from the perspective of, I liked how we were going the angle of easy button versus like your experience with that, because I've seen you guys do a couple things. I think in one of the behind the scenes things I saw, you guys actually had like a phone on a tripod, and
Mhm.
then you've also got like nicer camera setups and stuff like that. Talk us through that, right? What you've learned so far and anything that can help people.
So currently we're doing two different settings. We're doing Instagram Live on our midweek. That's pretty much a one-person show where it's myself and I'm teaching on Instagram Live, and I'm using a lot of background stuff and props and things like that. And then for Sunday, we do pre-recorded setups, and we are currently only uploading onto IGTV, and we're uploading on Facebook. Those are to the two platforms that we're currently using. We have not even tried to work onto YouTube, just simply because just don't have the time and want to put. I haven't built up the courage to get onto that yet. Really, that's what it comes down to. Um, I've already yelled at my computer enough with Instagram Live or Instagram IGTV, so just trying to take it baby steps right now for us. But we're currently doing both. So live is definitely a lot easier because it's just you're going with the motions, and then once you're done, you're done. Pre-recording, we were joking around, but a 20-minute video took us about 2 hours to record with all the takes that we do. But definitely has pros and cons on both, but you know, we've just been this is all new to us. This is, like Brother Booker said, 3 weeks into it. We've never done any of this in our ministries.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Brother Chris, and by the way, they should be getting a medal for even being on this call at all. As you can see, there's a bundle of joy in the screen there. So really glad that you all could make it on here. I will say, you know, my kids have enjoyed getting to check out the stuff you guys have already done the last couple of weeks, and so I'm excited that you all are here. I mentioned to you, I thought, you know, from a production perspective, things look really nice the way you guys have it set up. Let us, you know, share with the audience here some of the things that you guys have had in
Well,
consideration when you
pretty
were
much
getting
we
geared up to do this, and, you know, kind of how you're
decided to
doing
go
it now.
live on a Saturday. So 6 days before we were going to actually go live. So it was a mad dash to the finish line. So we had no idea what kind of camera we were going to get. We had no idea. We had absolutely no clue. So like it's been stated, no one is in our midst. We have a brother in our church who was able to get us a telecam. It's a pan-tilt zoom camera. It's pretty nice. You control it with a remote, or you can get a plug-in joystick. So it's kind of like playing Atari. That's probably dating myself.
Mhm.
But so as far as getting going, we stream to YouTube, which is pretty easy if you do live, because you got one take and that's it. So it's a lot like Instagram. However, we do go from our audio board into our computer, so that does help us a little bit with our sound and everything. And something I'd like to tag on, I found this out 2 days ago, with Instagram TV. If you want to post something more than 20 minutes, or more than 15, you actually need to do it from your computer. So
Yes.
I just found that out and didn't realize it till after the fact. Just so for
Yes.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we do everything from the pan tilt zoom in our sanctuary with like a roll around set that we scabbed out from other projects using some styrofoam and some 1x2s and paper.
Yes. Okay. Let me go ahead and bring this back over here. So, okay. Well, you know, I'm going to invite you all to go ahead and enter any questions that you have into the questions area. The chat works well too. We just have to kind of fish for the questions when they're in that area. So if you could use the questions area to be able to add some questions so that I can be able to ask of our panelists in an organized fashion, I would greatly appreciate that. That would be wonderful. You know, something to mention in regard to lessons learned with IGTV. I personally wanted to smash my head through a wall when I was doing an upload for IGTV because of the fact that I was doing it with Google Chrome. So if any of you guys have tried that and you're wondering, is it user error? The answer is it is likely not user error. What I found was reading a forum, just like what you said, Brother Chris, you got to upload. We had a half-hour content that we were uploading onto there, and I tried it 5 times over 3 days, and it did not work. It kept giving me false positives. I thought it'd be done. It took forever to upload. Then I read on a forum that if you just use something like Firefox, then it would work just fine. So FYI, if you're trying that and you want to smash things, give that a shot. You know, that might actually help you get through to the other side of it. So I want to go ahead and have us talk about live versus pre-recorded, because Brother Ray and I are both doing pre-recorded, and you know, Brother Philip and you, Brother Chris, you guys are doing it live. Brother Philip, you had some thoughts on the pros and cons of live versus pre-recorded. You want to sound off on that?
Sure. We thought about it for a while before we just jumped into live because the pre-recorded option, it takes away so many variables. All the questions of, is there going to be a problem? Will someone trip over the power cord? Will the internet go out? You know, all those things that you fight with. And so we decided to go live, and this is why. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you why we do it. Doing it live has an energy to it, and we all know that when you're in Sunday school and you're doing practice for Sunday school with your team, it's not the same as when there's kids in the room. It's just not. You can't give it the same energy and the same impact. I know it's not quite the same when you're recording it. What I mean is when you know it's live recording and you know this is the last take, you're going to put everything into it. But for me especially, when I know it's live and I don't have any way of rolling back that tape, I'm going to give it everything I got, concentrate, and if I mess up, you keep rolling on. But more than that, it's in the altar call. For us, the whole, and not just for us, for Sunday school, the point of Sunday school isn't to entertain them. I mean, there's a lot of better entertainment than me. So I want to give them an experience with God. I'm not trying to, anyway, I think you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
The whole point of this Sunday school is so those kids can have an experience in their living room. I want to see them get the Holy Ghost. I want to see them get touched. And I think there's a better chance of that if I'm doing it live. Only because on my end, I know that I'm reaching through that camera right then and hopefully touching somebody. That's why we would do it. Also, with other people on stage, when you know there's no retakes, even if there's a mistake, you just plow through. You just keep going, just like we do in regular Sunday school. The cons are, of course, that problems will happen. Guaranteed, for sure. Like our last Sunday school, we had the first 3 minutes without audio. We had it working, and when we hit play or when we hit go live on the stream, it just quit working. So stuff will go wrong, but stuff goes wrong in Sunday school all the time. I mean, how many times have our object lessons failed on us and we didn't have a retake? The other thing, the con to a live stream is you're limited to a physical single location unless you're really quick. So like we have ours set here. Can I share my screen real quick, Brother James?
Go for it.
Okay, I have it up. So like this is our Sunday school here, and this is what we actually have it in front of. I have no way of changing that background. I have no way of changing anything. What you see is what you get. I don't even have someone moving a camera. It's on a tripod and it's not going anywhere. So I am very locked down. Brother James's pre-recorded Sunday school was awesome because there was like 4 or 5 different locations and things happened. Their songs were in one place and it was cool. It was really cool. So there is definitely cons. Would I, in our case, I think a live is a better fit, but you guys got to figure that out for yourself. The final one is the combination of the two, where you do something like a live stream, like on this one right here. So while you're doing a live stream, on top of that, I can throw something else in. And so the kids get, you can do that with OBS. Now with Instagram Live and Facebook, it's not going to happen. But you can throw in whatever you want at any time, and they just see whatever you're throwing up. So then you have that flexibility of pre-recording a piece and yet making the altar call live. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got, brother.
Okay. Brother Chris, what are your thoughts on why you guys chose live versus pre-recorded? Because there are definitely multiple questions here on, why live versus pre-recorded. So clearly this is a hot issue.
I think live is the best because it does have that feel, like Brother Booker says. However, pre-record helps. The way we pre-record is like it's live. So we pre-record in the same location without adding anything to it. And then we just premiere that. With also trying to use the same set or not set, the same location for our sanctuary, and then also trying to get set up and ready for that is where we've kind of been back and forth on live versus pre-record.
We probably stay live if we weren't trying to balance the availability of being able to, have the sanctuary and the technical needs for our online church services. So it's benefits either way. Like you mentioned, Brother Wayne, about you can go from one take to like a bunch of takes, or there's pros and cons either way you go with it. But I think that there's definitely a different feeling, like Brother Booker mentioned, as far as the energy from the live versus pre-record.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I'll kind of talk from the perspective of why we chose pre-recorded now. So when I was thinking about some of the pros and cons, I agree with you guys. If we did it live, we could kind of feed off the energy of that. It's live, like you're just gonna do it, and there's a certain excitement and energy to that there is only one take. The pros of doing it recorded, as have been mentioned, that I'm going to highlight are I have a lot of flexibility. I can do all kinds of crazy stuff, and that's a lot of fun. The cons to it, though, are I end up being able to obsess. And the pro of doing it live is, you know what? You prep for it, and then you record it, and you're at peace with it. You're done. Whereas I can obsess all I want and end up just doing all kinds of crazy edits till forever, right? So those are kind of the pros and cons to it, because like Brother Philip said, the fun stuff is I can definitely change all different types of settings and slot in all kinds of things, so there's higher flexibility. The other reason I chose to do it pre-recorded is because specifically, the schedule I'm given is I am half hour right before worship service begins for my church live stream. So I did not want to try to navigate that in a live environment. That's just the situation there. Like for you, Brother Philip, you actually have it at a totally different time. For you, Brother Chris, are you guys at a totally separate time from when service starts, or how do you guys do that?
We're at a totally different time. Yeah, it was my computer's lagging.
They
It
might
was
not
a
have heard me.
hotspot.
Oh.
We have two totally different times, but we also have to have practice and stuff in the sanctuary, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why we do ours
Okay.
a little earlier.
Okay. I think if you're gonna do it live, that would be what I would say, that trying to do it too close is gonna force you to have to do it pre-recorded. So that's kind of what I would say about that. I don't know if Brother Ray is still with us, but he might just be blacked out for the moment on his screen. There. Oh.
I was there. I was here.
Something's happening. Yes, I just hear this ethereal voice here. So, Brother Ray is with us in spirit. So, Brother Ray, I didn't know if you wanted to kind of chime in on some of your considerations in regard to recorded versus live.
So, really, it came down to scheduling for a lot of my staff members. Some of us are still working over here. So that was definitely something to consider as far as pre-recording, and plus a lot of us minister in other areas in our church, and so in being able to get everybody down at the church while still keeping our numbers low was a challenge that I knew that was going to come up. We decided just to go pre-record it for quality, and then plus we wanted something, because if we were going to use, at this moment we were only using Instagram, so using Instagram live, it's only there for 24 hours, and I wanted material that could be pulled up at any time for our children if they weren't able to watch it at the live time. So we went with that route. We have been messing around with our live, or I'm sorry, our pre-recorded services. My number one thing is that I wanted to make it feel as much as a regular service as possible. So even like during our worship part of our service, it's a track, but I'm still yelling and exhorting as if I was leading it during our service with our kids. And then at the end of that, we may even have, so it allowed us to do skits. It allowed us to do pre-recorded stuff, to where we're in different locations, different areas, and doing different things. So that really helped us, because we were like, on the first one we did, we baptized one of our puppets in the baptismal. And so we had access to the actual baptismal, and we got a robe for him and everything. So that was like, for us, it was like we would have never been able to do that if we were doing live. We probably would have had it set up differently, but this way it looked like the kids were able to see the actual baptistry and say, hey, you know, like, this is where I can get baptized as well. And then at the end, I recorded an altar call. And so, you know, I had altar music playing in the background. And then from there, I would instruct the kids as they were watching. And then even then, I would instruct the parents to put their hands on their children and pray with their children. And so I didn't feel that it limited us as far as on our altar call time, because I made sure that I left 4 or 5 minutes and, you know, of just altar music and just us praying for that specific time. Because you know, seeing all these different churches having live stream services, I saw videos of kids getting the Holy Ghost in their house, and I said, you know, that can happen with us. We just have to give them that time. And so that's kind of what we went with it. It worked out better for us. But I definitely made sure that I wanted that apostolic filling in our pre-recorded video. So I was really sensitive to just where can I allow that time for worship and prayer. And so that's kind of where we went with that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Brother Ray. I would agree with that. I think, you know, I face the same exact challenge every time we're doing altar call. It really is kind of where you put your head into it, right? Like that. It sounds like we all have a very similar kind of thing that is going on in our heads, which is you're just trying to imagine, you know, God, please be moving in this living room, you know, wherever this is, like that you're imagining it, right? That you can see on the other side in somebody's living room, a kid is doing what you're saying and they're raising their hands and they're praying. Something that I would say, you know, I try to think about it exactly like that, that I have in my mind, I'm imagining as I'm giving instructions that somebody is actually listening. And also the fact that you've got kind of a couple different types of scenarios that may be occurring. So just something to throw out there. For me, I oftentimes will, you know, in the tech world, they call them, you know, early adopters and laggards when it comes to people that adopt things from a technology perspective. But I will say the same thing is what I try to keep in my mind when I'm thinking about people who are reacting to the message. You know, they're the people that you tell them raise their hands, and the second you said that, there's some kid already in their living room. They just got off the couch and they're listening. They're obeying exactly what you're saying, versus the kid you got to kind of keep coaxing and coaxing because you don't have that feedback. There's no visual feedback to what's happening in these people's living rooms. And so I try to do both. I try to, you know, work toward the kids that are listening and obeying right away and just following the prompts of what you're saying as you're praying and trying to lead them in an altar call. And then throughout there, just, hey, you know, if you haven't raised your hands yet, what are you waiting for? Right? Like those type of things to try to see if you can catch somebody else. And they're like, oh, whoa, okay. Yeah. Well, what am I waiting for? You know? And I try to think and imagine that type of stuff while I'm trying to do the altar call, but it is definitely a very different experience where you're just talking to a camera and you have no idea, or there's no feedback. There's no way to feel for that. So, you know, that's something I want to throw out there, just keying off what you guys are saying. Looks like there's a lot of questions, you know, around that. So hopefully for you all that helped in being able to give you an idea of some of the pros and cons of going live versus pre-recorded. Just summarizing some things, it's different energy level for the whole team when you go live. I want to say that that's what I would summarize on some of the key things to consider. I agree with you. There's just that energy that's different when you're live. There is no parachute. You're just doing it, right? Versus you can keep editing to your heart's content and doing more retakes and everything. Something else that I think is kind of nice for live is it's a much simpler process, which in a second, I want to talk about software because it looks like a lot of people are asking questions on software. But back to the easy versus kind of, next level broadcasting, so to speak. There's a lot of people where I've seen, hey, if you want to just get started, cons aside, being able to have, like, for example, there's like here in this setup, I've got a tripod. I don't have it with me here, but I've got an attachment that I got from Amazon for the times that I want to use a phone that you can easily just go ahead and pop it onto there and you can be able to broadcast from, your phone, right? So I've seen Brother Dwayne Uzzle's team do that where they've got it right on a tripod. That's an easy way to start. If a lot of this stuff sounds intimidating, at least, being able to start there, boom, you could just get going and being able to be easily on Facebook Live, IG with those different things that Brother Philip mentioned might be the barriers. But something that I would say is worth consideration is you saw me be able to kind of move around the room, so to speak, where I can just kind of bring this around. The reason for that, I can't show you because it's what's seeing me, is I've got a webcam that is connected to a really long USB wire, right? So like we were saying about being able to broadcast from a computer, actually, if you just had a laptop and a webcam, you don't need a ton of fancy equipment to get started. If I'm just kind of speaking to the people where you might feel like tech is a barrier for you, it's really not as bad as you think, right? So those may be some easy options there. Brother Phil, was there something you wanted to chime in on with that?
On the YouTube live streaming portion of it, I think I may have made it sound like it's so hard that you shouldn't even try it. I didn't mean it that way. It's definitely the best way to do it. The equipment you need is a computer, a laptop or desktop, a capture card, which is it's all it is a way of getting the signal from the camera into the computer, and then a piece of software that's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. It's called OBS. OBS, like I think it's Open Broadcasting System or something like that. That's what it stands for. And there's tutorials online. If you have throughout the week plenty of time to research it and talk to people in your church that are techie. It sounds overwhelming, but it really isn't as hard as it sounds. In fact, I have it shared, Brother Wang. If you want to pull that up. So this here is OBS. This is the software. It's a free software. And what I can do is I can turn the capture card on. So it's actually capturing from the camera that I'm shooting from. And then on top of that, I can put like my logo, which is this Holy Ghost Kids. I can also tag in videos. If I want to do it, live, I can tag that in. You can pull in images on top of that. And so it's super powerful. Yeah. And all you need, again, is a computer, a capture card, and a camera. And I'm not trying to get nerdy on you, but that does HDMI out that's clean. So if you have like a really nice camera, like a DSLR that I'm running on right now, the DSLR wants to put out a signal through HDMI, but it wants all those icons on it, the focus icons and all the deals. So you have to clean those up. You can turn them off one by one, or you just talk to the person that owns the camera. Hopefully they can do it for you. Some of them you just can't, and you'll have to live with those artifacts. But OBS also allows you to kind of expand the frame and make it where you don't have to see any of that junk. So all this does, OBS, what it does is stream a signal back to YouTube, and YouTube captures that and makes a live stream out of it. So again, computer, capture card, and OBS. And then you have, 7 days or 6 days to figure this out.
Yeah. So I think people might be wondering, when you say capture card, what does that mean? And what do you mean by that?
So it's I have two. So you can get one that goes inside the computer if you have a desktop, or you can get one that's a USB. It plugs into the USB on your computer. You can get it from Walmart. I ordered it even during this crazy Corona time. I ordered it and had it in 2 days from Walmart.
Mhm.
The one I use is the USB. Let me pull it up real quick.
I was gonna say, I think people are like, "So capture my who you what you at?" Right. So I think that'll.
I'm actually going to put it in the chat also.
Yes. Let's go ahead and do that. I went and I put the link for OBS into the chat as well.
So in the chat, I just put it's the Elgato, the capture card. It's the HD60S is the one I use. It's kind of like the de facto standard in a lot of the streaming. It's not that crazy expensive. I think it's $180. I know that's not cheap, but it'll work, and you don't want to cheap out on that one. You'll regret it.
Cool. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, we are. And it is
Sounds like
it is pretty
Brother
simple
Chris, you
once you
guys
watch
are
the
using
videos
OBS as well?
to run. It looks overwhelming, but once you start seeing what scenes are and what sources are, it all kind of makes sense from there. It's pretty simple. I'm not trying to downplay it. It once you get into it, you see a couple videos, you see somebody actually using it, it'll just make
Awesome.
sense. And okay, I think I could try this, I could try that, and
Yep.
just use the common
Yep.
sense. If you accept it.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this conversation is some of this stuff is people just, I think oftentimes in any type of new subject, it's just getting pointed in the right direction. And in this day and age, thou hast Google and YouTube, what hindereth thee, right? Like, it's like you can find anything, right? So just like you guys are saying, doing some searches on YouTube about OBS, there's probably like a plethora of all kinds of great content there, right? So um, absolutely. There's something I want to bring up now, just looking at some of these different comments that I think is also a hot topic, which is we're talking about broadcasting a Sunday school experience, but there's a lot of comments and questions about Zoom, like where Zoom fits into the equation. Are people using it? What are they using it for? And stuff like that. I definitely have some thoughts, but I would love to have you guys talk about it before I start yammering about my thoughts on that. So, Brother Booker, do you guys use Zoom at all? And what formats, what reasons?
Sure. Yeah, Zoom has its place for sure. It has some limitations. It's not as high quality of a stream. So it's degraded picture, degraded audio. It works though, and it works well. However, there's some limitations. First of all, is the 40-minute time limit on the free one, which if you don't go over 40 minutes, who cares? And the other one is the number of participants.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you have to have the Zoom app installed and you have to have them logged into the meeting. What I like about YouTube Live, and I don't care how you do it, I'm just telling you why we do what we do. The reason I like YouTube Live is I send the link and they click it and they're in. No apps installed, nothing on any device. You can go on and they just click it and it works. Zoom is awesome. We use it in different circumstances. We tagged in a guest speaker to our live service the other night using Zoom into our YouTube live stream, which was complicated, but we got it. So yes, it's awesome. And if you have a smaller group, it would probably be epic. I mean, if you had say 10 kids or whatever, it'd probably be the best solution for you. And you go under 40 minutes, you don't even have to pay for it. So you also have the limitation usually of if you're using a phone, you got the phone's camera and the phone's audio versus something higher end that like OBS could do with any high-end camera and the audio straight from the soundboard. So those are my quick thoughts on it.
Hey, I gotta say, I've never played with OBS, so I am very excited now to be like YouTubing it up to like, develop my OBS kung fu here. So that'll be my fun after this. But here's what I would say about Zoom. I use plenty of Zoom. It is amazing that what this whole coronavirus thing has done societally. Everybody that there are people offering karate classes over Zoom these days, right? Like it's just amazing. So the question is, what formats are good and what are not? Just some quick thoughts from me on that. We use it regularly every week for Chinese Bible study. And what's cool about that is the interaction level. You can be able to do that, but just like what Brother Philip was saying, the tough thing there is size control. When it comes to I know I had an interesting experience where I was trying to do a kids church type experience with Zoom. And the tricky thing for me was actually there were kids that were joining in late, or other things like that. And my wife and I were talking about this. When like these kindergartners are all together on Zoom, the second they get to talk, they're like, hi, 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 and everybody's saying hi, and it's just like, oh, it's over. Whatever you're trying to do, it's over. So, tip on that: if you're using it, the pros on it are that it can definitely be more interactive, because just like this, I can see, Brother Philip's reaction. So if I say something and I can see on Brother Philip's face, Brother James just said something really crazy right now, at least I can interact with it and be like, okay, I must have said something nuts, right? Whereas you don't have that, just like we were talking about earlier with when you are just streaming and broadcasting, you have to just imagine that, whereas there is very little imagination required when you've got a Zoom meeting and you can actually see everybody's faces and all these boxes everywhere. Um, but you got to make sure, just as a tip, if you're trying to do something like an altar call, you're going to want to make sure to mute everybody, or not, or not at your own peril. So that may or may not be a great experience. But I feel like that's also another area where there's a lot of people that are now actually having to use Zoom. So that might be an easy way for you to hop into this while you explore some of these other ways. I like, that there is the higher interactivity. So I'm seeing here in the comments about, muting, unmuting, and it's just making sure that you're tracking that and muting and unmuting. A tip might be, in a situation like that, you may want to purposely make somebody else a host. If you're the one that is providing the content and doing the type of stuff and running the service, that you have a co-host with you so that they can be able to help handle the muting, so you're not thinking about it and you're just trying to do your thing, and then you can swap off and that type of stuff. So some questions here that we were talking about. I like this real good question. How do you engage students during the live sessions and make it interactive but not chaotic? Can you guys give some tips on how to be able to, in a streaming scenario, be able to do things interactively, like the type of stuff from a content perspective or style that you guys have done?
Yeah, like in our live Sunday school, we're always asking the kids questions. Whether they respond or not, I have no idea. I'm just assuming that they're behind us. So, we'll have, say, the theme of the day. I will put my trust in God, I think, is our first one. So we had everybody say, I will put my trust in God. And then we stop and say, no, you didn't say it. Yeah, you, the kid eating the cookies. I actually said that, and a kid drops his cookie and looks at his dad and goes, can he see me? He just freaked out. It was so priceless. So we do try to reach past the camera constantly.
Yeah.
We're asking them questions. We're not getting much of a response, but the people that are with us on the stage are giving us that same response as well. So we're getting feedback. But we do try to get them involved all the time. How many gods are there? I don't just give them the answer. I want them to yell it out. I'm like, come on, if you're apostolic, yell it. How many gods are there?
Yep.
So that's what we do.
I like it. I agree. I think the questions, the call and response, I like doing that a lot too, just again, like it's like, hey, like somebody will bite, you know, and then for them that are actually participating, it's going to be a great experience. If they're not, and they're going to be a bump on a log, well, what can you do, right? Um, Brother Chris, do you have any tips on, you know, things that you guys do? I, I like. I feel like it's interesting. You guys have a lot of different things that you do in your format on what you have in your service. Um, are there any tips that you have on how to keep it feeling interactive,
So,
format wise?
and part of what we're trying to do each week is like we have weekly touch points with the kids, and so we're sending out a video text that's like 60 seconds
Ah,
to the kids because we have kind of like Zoom versus the live format. We run anywhere from 2 to 250 kids. 55 of them are typically from the sanctuary parents, and the rest come our bus routes. And so we were trying to find a way that we could cast the net really wide that all of our kids could potentially be connecting through this whole crisis. And so in that, we tried to create things that we would do every week that would be interactive and personal to them. So like last Sunday, Charles, she hit every bus route name, like Hilltop
yes.
and, you know, Summit Square and like the different things that they did. Then we try to do a weekly challenge. We actually got that idea from a local public school that was doing a virtual spirit week, but we broke it up to where every Sunday we had something and then we challenge them to interact with us throughout the week. So the last challenge, we've had videos coming through of the kids are, you know, I'm an epic kid, and you know that's coming from our church kids and kids that you know maybe aren't established. And I'm trying to think of some other. The brother aired our first one. We watched yours, and my friend was over, and her little girls were watching. Her little girl and little boy were watching it, and I'm you know watching your format and watching the kids be fun. And like immediately, you guys did the song and they were dancing with it. And I was like, okay, you know,
Also,
we're gonna do songs just like we do for kids church. So we try to, like you were saying, gear the way we talk. Like we can't see them, but we try to talk as though we're in front of our Sunday school, like repeating the moves so they can do them with us, or the memory verse. We're doing it so that hopefully they're also at home reciting it. So one of our weekly challenges will be to, you know, do videos of you reciting the memory verse. So there's the things that we're trying to create that are consistently done each week as a way to interaction. Charles sees all and about a craft, so we may incorporate that soon. Where one weekly challenges is if they do a craft throughout the week, especially they're bored at home, that's geared towards the lesson they learned, and then they send pictures and tag the church, and we can share it. So it's like just kind of create things that they're not only doing in the moment watching us, but that they can do a week and then get that feedback. And so that's kind of a lot of what we try to are trying to create.
Yeah. I thought that was so great. With the shout outs to all the different bus routes and everything, and it was slick, like, you know, like raising a name and then flipping the other side. It's like you guys are just like grinding it out. I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. That's such a great tip. Brother Philip, I also really like how you guys are still doing things where you're recognizing birthdays and stuff like that. um, you know, I love it, right? Like those type of things that make it feel like you're still there together, even though you can't be. And you guys just brought up a really interesting additional component, which is how can you be able to have other ways of interacting where you're throwing out the challenges, like Squirrel Man's challenges, where you know, he's like, hey kids, go ahead and make sure to tag us with all those fun things and everything. It's like, oh, that's cool, right? Like it's an idea of how to be able to keep the conversation going beyond just the time you're together. So I really, really like that. Hopefully that helped answering some of those questions on how to be able to make things interactive. So yeah, great tips, crew. Looks like there's a question from Brother Eric Williams here, and hello, Brother Eric. I'm glad to have you with us. You're asking, do you have a specific soundboard for applause, laughing, crickets, etc., that you use? I know Brother Ray had one that was pretty cool. Brother Ray, it was actually a DJ software setup you were mentioning, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We actually got this from Commit Conference when we went last time. I'm gonna share my screen so you guys could see it.
Cool.
But it's a software that we purchased purchased for our Sunday school department, as you can see here. So this, can you guys see it?
Let's see. Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is I can pull up all of our songs here. I can play the songs. I can even scratch them. But right here is all my soundboards. So when I do my Instagram live, I have my laptop behind me. And while I'm playing the Instagram live, I have this laptop turned up all the way. So I can play like an applause. I can do laughing. This last week I did a Western theme. So I had a horse, neighing. And the horse would, so anytime a kid, I was like, hey, who's online? I want to know who's online. And on Instagram live, they start typing in their name. So every time a kid would type in their name, I'd say their name and have the horse say their name back. But they just didn't understand that the horse was saying the name the same way every time. But so that's what I was using as far as with that. That came with the mixer that we purchased for our Sunday school, but I'm pretty sure you could just download that software, and I think you just pay for the yearly fee or the forever fee, depending on how they work. But that's what I use we use that for our Sunday school in general. It has definitely changed up a lot of things. But using it for the live videos, for especially when it's just me on a Thursday night, I can create a lot more of an atmosphere by doing all that instead of just not having any sound effects. But that's definitely been a help for me.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna. Speaking of this, the sound effect stuff with the whole Zoom versus video stuff. I use an app called Game Show Soundboard by Brisk Interactive on my Android phone, and I like using this to kind of it's my go-to for spicing up any type of quiz. So like, for example, if somebody gets right, and I gotta actually turn the sound up. So if somebody gets it wrong, if I want to stress people out with time, and I can reveal items. So there's all kinds of fun stuff there. So if you want to have a quick way of doing game show sounds, that's a good Android app for that.
One of the ones I love is Sound Plant.
Mm-hmm.
It is super simple. It's about as simple as it gets. I'm gonna throw this up on the screen real quick. Let me see.
Okay.
Well, it's not letting me for some reason. I can't hit the share the screen button. Anyway, Sound Plant, it does like a virtual keyboard on the screen. And you just hit it. And the cool thing about it is there's no lag whatsoever. You just tap it and it does it. And I have a remote hooked up to it that's in my pocket. And so I can play the sounds wherever I'm at. And I just,
cool.
Anyway, so you can do your audio. It's like we did some jokes on Sunday. And so we had cricket sound effects that were, and the applause and whatever.
I was wondering about that. Okay, so I think you get it from soundplant.org.
Yep, Soundplant,
right.
And it's free.
Yep.
After 30 days, there's some restrictions, but I can't remember what the restrictions are, but they're not bad. And I think the whole thing costs like $40 or something. But I just like it because you can do fade outs and you can clip pieces of it, but it's super simple to run. And I love having a remote in my pocket where I can do all that.
Cool. Okay, perfect. So looks like we got a couple answers there. Brother Ray, what was the name of that DJ software again?
Virtual DJ. I'm gonna put a copy of the link in there and then put it in there for you guys.
Okay.
We bought it off of Amazon.
And it looks like it supports PC and Mac. So good news. So also the soundplant.org is in there as well. And let's take a look now at another question here. Let's talk about editing software. Actually, before we get to that, I want to make sure we have time for this. Brother Philip, you are the master of the green screen. So I'm sure people would love to know your tips on green screen. I've got some that I want to share too, but I definitely want you to get to go first.
Man, I wish I could share the screen. I have pictures queued up for this, but I can't do it.
Oh, that's so weird.
The button just quit working.
Okay, let's see.
It's so irritating. It was just working.
Yeah, how weird. You know what?
Well,
what if you just hop out and hop right back in? Try to refresh your tab, and it just shoots you right back in. Okay, so while that is happening, I'll tell you guys, I just got this. If you don't, it's funny. What we had was we literally had like a kind of a green carpet, and we tacked it to the wall. We've upped our game just a little bit now, and I got this for I think 120 something bucks off Amazon. It came with those clips. It also came with the stand and the light boxes and this other stuff here. So it was actually pretty legit. So for the stuff in it, it was actually pretty good value. One other tip I would give is one of the guys on the crew mentioned, Brother Phil, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but on Android, a real nice way to troubleshoot is with an app called Chroma Key. And you can just take a quick picture and then just test how it's looking before you actually go into production. So if you're not live doing it and you're doing the production, before you even get to the processing, you can kind of test out how the screen's working. But okay, give it another shot. There you go. Looks like it's working.
It is. So this is my green screen. And like Brother James said, from Amazon.com, the whole setup, poles, green screen, and lights, the whole thing is less than 150 bucks. So the point of a green screen is it has a very unique color that can be replaced with anything. So this green screen is not what it ends up. So let me show you like a here is a video that I recorded for the daily devotions that we do with the green screen. This is after editing, and you can replace the green screen with anything you want. So this was actually today's daily devotion. So again, pre, post. And the software that I use is called DaVinci Resolve. It doesn't matter which one you use, they all do it. Well, most video editing. And you just select the background. Let me go back to that green screen. So you just literally select, I want these shades gone, and I want to replace it with something else. So again, this is the still that I used. And then the computer just swaps it out. There's tons of tutorials online how to do it. So don't panic that this is a massive project. It's really not that hard. Just make sure the green screen is as flat as you can get it. If you got big wrinkles and shadows, it's going to be a lot more difficult just to replace. But they're awesome. Using it live is going to be tough. So this is all for pre-recorded stuff, but it's super. It gives you so many options. It's just really, really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. I love all of your different backgrounds that you have. Very creative. So I'll show you guys what I was talking about. A quick test here, right? So I would say we definitely agonized over trying to make this as flat as possible, and it's still not perfect. But that's where the testing comes in. So for example, you might be able to see in my screen here, I just took a picture of myself, and I can do a test to see how good it was, and it's pretty clean actually around my head, and if the lighting wasn't good, I could see that it would be kind of like crispy and crinkly there. So Chroma Key might be a nice little troubleshooter for you on there. And it's nice, you can upload a background really easily from your phone, and apparently that's me in space, right? So that was a nice little troubleshooting thing that one of the crew offered here. So thank you.
One thing I found that was really nice is that if your green screen isn't perfect, especially DaVinci Resolve, the software I use, again, it's free, is it gives you so much flexibility. So you can just like extend the chroma key or shrink it to make it better or worse. And unless you're wearing something bright green, which is a problem because you'll see right through it, you'll notice in some of the videos that I put out, like I did one with a Rubik's Cube, all one color on the Rubik's Cube were see-through. That was a problem. So you just got to be really careful with what you wear.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk quick about editing software because we are bumping up against the end of our hour here. I think we will go into OT for a little bit for those that want to stick around, but there's a lot of questions around software. So you were mentioning was DaVinci that you use?
Yep. I just put it in the link in the chat.
Perfect. Okay, so I use. Some people will use things like Final Cut, or they'll use stuff like Adobe Premiere Pro, etc., etc. I use this. It's called Camtasia, but it does. I got mine with, there was like a deal for the really affordable license, but otherwise it's not free. So I really like Brother Philip's suggestion. He's doing amazing things, grinding it out, and so that software must be good. How about the others? Brother Chris, any thoughts or recommendations on
And if you don't have
software,
$200, just
editing
blow.
software?
iMovie is another good option if you're a Mac user. I actually really like iMovie. It's free. You can use it on your phone. It's got a green screen option. I used it a little bit. I never really had good lighting when I was trying out the green screen, so I didn't really dabble too much with it. But those are the only two options that I can think of. Final Cut Pro, which is incredible as far as color grading. I mean, that's an amazing program. But iMovie is an excellent free option.
Yeah.
For Mac users.
Awesome. Yeah. And Brother Ray?
So yeah, we're currently using iMovie. I'm gonna share this here. This is last week's lesson that I edited. Let me see if I can open it up. And so I'm able to throw in everything and then adjust audio, adjust video, add transitions. It's dummy proof, and that's why I use it. But I can add all my text in there. And I'm still learning everything as I'm going. But it's definitely super user friendly. So that's why I use it. And you can use it from your phone. We've used it in the past for numerous videos that we've done in our ministry. So, and you can use it just straight from your phone. So you can record off your phone, edit on your phone, upload from your phone, and you're good to go.
Awesome. That's a fantastic recommendation. Looks like there's a question about that. So, if you're looking for alternatives, there's another one called Filmora Wondershare. Thank you, James Pelletier, for mentioning that. I've had other friends mention Filmora Wondershare as well, and they were saying, hey, that's actually a really good alternative to Camtasia, and from what I understand, it's also incredibly affordable. So I'd say check out that as well. I've heard really good things about it. Okay, well, were you going to say something, Brother Philip?
I was just reading a question. Someone was asking about copyrighted songs. I wouldn't worry too much about it. You will get a email from YouTube saying that you're using copyrighted material, but it doesn't strike your channel or anything, so don't worry about it. What it does do is if you have ads on it, is it gives them the revenue, not you, which I don't care. So that's not a factor for me. So we use copywritten songs all the time without any issue.
Okay, cool. That's a great question. I found the same thing. The only downside is you can't monetize, right? and that's okay, right? So that's cool. I haven't yet had a situation where something got taken down. I know there's been concern about that. So that's all I found too. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So far, it's just I can't monetize, and I wasn't going to anyway. So cool. Okay. Lightning round here. One of the questions. Ooh, this is a really good one. And it happens to be from my wife, actually. So great question. How do you find material for your kids' church? Does one person in your church write the lesson? Team collaboration? Do you rehearse it through at all before recording live? What's the process look like? So, starting with you, Brother Philip, what is this preparation process look like for you guys prepping for each of these live sessions on Sunday?
Well, it has changed since we went to streaming. Before, it was we would allocate each piece of the day. We try to keep every piece of our Sunday school no more than 8 minutes. So we're trying to keep the kids' concentration. So we'll have, song, mini object lesson, game, anyway, break it up. And then we assign those to a person and then give them the theme of the day and just let them run with it. However, now that we're streaming, I've been much tighter on that in the sense that it's more permanent. Now that we've recorded this thing, it's out there forever and ever. Not that we're not careful before, but I do more of the scripting that I did previous. So I'm making sure that there's a continual theme running through every song, every game, everything that we do. I want a theme running through it, and I want to know what they're doing. We also don't normally have practice necessarily for Sunday school, but we sure do now. So Saturday night, we meet at 7 p.m. We'll run through it 2 or 3 times, usually an hour and a half or so. And then on Sunday, an hour before we stream live, we meet again and run through everything again. So we're much more prepared than normal. I know that sounds terrible. I guess you should always be that prepared. Anyway.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think that's probably the norm, that there's somehow, for whatever reason, it seems like preparation feels a little different. Mostly because of the fact that you just want to be able to save your bullets, so to speak, for any technical stuff that would jump at you, so at least you can be able to focus full energy on that if you have to, and the content's nailed down.
I got one more tidbit.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to jump on you, Brother James.
No.
Because we have a script and we don't write it out word for word, there's lots and lots of ad lib, but there are key points that you have to make in every piece of the lesson. So we actually have this thing written out in a Google document. I have someone sitting there live. Let me turn this on. I think I have a picture of this as well. I have someone sitting there. This lady right here. I don't know if you can see her. Can you blow that screen up a little bit, brother?
Yes,
so
sir.
She's actually holding up our script.
Clever.
on a Google Doc. This was too small, so I used like a 24-inch screen last time, and it's sitting right below the camera. We're not reading from it, but it sure helps if you're trying to hit key points. Like we were doing a deal where we were pulling these pieces of styrofoam out with things written on them. Well, on that screen was the Bible verse that's associated, like loneliness. God is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Well, that's on the screen. I didn't have to memorize it. I just had to look at the screen right into the camera. So that made a big, big difference. And so having someone there to help you through the script is a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great tip. Awesome. Okay. How about you, Brother Chris? Thoughts, tips, prep, ideas, things to point out?
To what Brother Booker's doing. We're preparing. We got an agenda set where you do it so many minutes because of entertainment. So you got to keep them engaged. And so, yes, we are practicing once during the week. We're practicing once on the weekend. We're doing it almost identical to how he's saying it. My wife's over off to the side. That's why I'm looking over, see if she has anything she wants to add.
Yeah. Again, you guys are troopers for being able to share with us tonight on this.
She also said that we pulled old material and kind of recycled it just because we needed to get a jump on this right off the rip. So grab things that we had prepared. Now we do
Yep.
have someone who's a point person who is kind of, I guess, writing the script. I would say it's more of a guideline. Like Brother Booker says, there's key points that we're trying to hit. There is ad libs, and then of course, when you do record, you kind of forget something or say it a little different. Like he was doing the object lesson, he wasn't planning on putting that money in his armpit, talking about he didn't take a shower, but he just did it on the spot and it worked. So it is what it is. But as long as he's making that key point, that's what matters.
Okay. Well, let me show you guys this here. So can you guys see this tab here? It says Corona Kids Church.
Can you blow it up, brother?
I can try. Let me see if I can. I don't know if
I mean,
can.
just put it on the big screen.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Whoop. Okay.
There we go.
So this is an example of just I try to kind of block stuff out and who's going to do what, just as some ideas there. And if there's attachments of things like we did, like these hand signals and stuff, I might do that so people have some ideas, and then we just run through it. But it's for me, I'm on a schedule, and as I mentioned, for the format we got a half-hour block. I personally do this anyway for a lot of the different segments that we do. That there's always kind of something like this when we're doing Kids Church Live. I just kind of like this because similar to what you guys are saying, I think most segments we try to keep it to 5 to 8 minutes, no longer than 10 typically, and this helps me to be able to plan and think like that. So just a tip. That's how I run that, and be able to kind of write notes and communicate with the team, and I share the doc out and stuff like that. So similar to what you guys were saying, Brother Chris, I dug into my archives as well and just pulled up some of this type of stuff from back in the day. But maybe that gives you guys some ideas. Brother Ray?
So we are on the other spectrum from Brother Booker. I usually, for right now, I'm coming up with some of the lessons. We're in our normal kids church setting. We're super prepared. We have the entire year planned out. But in this instance, we've kind of like, oh wait, we don't have our themes, so we're not, we don't have the room that we're setting up like we usually do. So I'll usually have an idea at least by that Sunday, if not the Monday, and then spend that entire week praying on it and making sure that that's what we need to teach on. But I'll have a general idea of what I want to teach on, and then come that Saturday, before that, I usually communicate to the team by Thursday or Friday, hey, this is what we'll be teaching on. This is my idea. Now, I always leave it up for ideas, and someone always usually has a better idea than I do. So we kind of spitball back and forth on different things that we can do. But we don't really rehearse a ton because we're recording pre-recording. But we are ad-libbing a ton. We don't script anything out. Most of it's just kind of us feeding off of each other. But that could be why we take a lot of takes, is because we're doing a lot of just ad-libbing. But that's usually how we prepare for how we get through ours. Is it's a lot of, we have the idea of what we're doing, the goal, but we are definitely adding and taking away things on the moment, because that's just how we work creatively. Sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult sometimes, but a lot of times we get a lot of good genuine moments out of it when we're recording. So like this last one we were doing, we had the staff acting like kids at home. One guy was playing video games. He's like, oh, I'm playing Fortnite. And then I had one of the other teachers tell him, Ryan, it's time for church. Come on, let's go. And he's like, oh, Mom. He's like, and he was just ad-libbing. And he's like, and she's like, come on, we got to get ready for church. He's like, oh, you're so old school. Like that was a genuine moment that he just came up with that term to use. And it was perfect, because the kids, I was hearing so many parents just saying, my kids are saying now, oh, it's so old school. But they love that because it related to them. And, so we're able to use kind of just that ad-libbing and off the cuff stuff that we're just able to throw out for some of our stuff. But we definitely have the idea, but we like to improvise on a lot of stuff that we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Looks like there is, and thank you, Brother Ray. I'm gonna move to. Looks like, Brother Booker, you got something you want to talk about here.
No, it was just another schedule. It was similar to what you had. Just tells everybody what they're doing and when.
Love it. Yeah.
Very similar to what you had.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting about this, I like in your layout, you got the the who, the what, the where, when. So yeah, you guys are seeing a couple different examples of formats, and wow, this is legit, Brother Philip. I like it. Off stage positions. You've even got off stage positions. Wow, that is next level, Brother Philip. Okay, that's really cool.
It's more like who's going to be cleaning up, who's going to be handing out the Sunday school dollars, that sort of thing. It's nothing special.
Oh, it's very special if you're not the only one cleaning up. That's awesome. Praise the Lord, bro. Smart thinking, man. Smart thinking. That's wise. That's some quality leadership skills there that we can all learn from. So I like it. Something else I would say, back to the live versus pre-recorded conversation. I feel like for those of you that are recording, it sounds like a lot of you are looking to do pre-recorded. I am finding it becomes more and more critical for your own sake to take the time, try to, if you're the one coming up with the content and the overall direction, try to script stuff just as a guide mark so that you can run through it and people have a framework. But it could even be, just as a tip, some thoughts. I actually wrote a script for one of them. The other one I didn't. I wrote it more as an outline, but I still felt like, hey, that was helpful, But the more you can have that stuff laid out, the easier it will probably be for you to be able to get through the filming and also be able to have it more organized when you're doing the editing versus, again, like with the live, whether people are ready or not, you're kicked out into the wild blue yonder and you're just going to make it happen. Right. So that is the plus side of just going live and just making it happen. Otherwise you have a lot of takes. What's nice is if you have the energy to do a gag reel, you got a lot of good stuff, but otherwise it can be a long day of filming. So I do think with the question that was asked, yes, having to do the video stuff, it forces you to have to do a little more thinking through scripting. So that's the thought there. I just wanted to answer one more time on this this copyrighted video stuff. It is fascinating to me. I do not know how YouTube does this, but we had a segment where there was a little skit, and in the skit, the character actually had the mic up to the phone and was watching a little VeggieTales clip, and YouTube detected that we were playing God is Bigger Than the Boogeyman. We didn't embed it in there. It was just like kind of playing and could be heard, and they actually found that. But the good news is they didn't try to make us take it down or anything like that. They just warned us about it. So to give you an idea, their kung fu is quite strong at detecting that stuff, but it seems like it's benign. So, just wanted to give you some more feedback on that. So.
I did have Instagram take something down a while back, but it wasn't. It wasn't IGTV though. It was through just like a regular story or feed, and they did take it down and said it was copyrighted. But I've been doing it through IGTV in the last few weeks, and I have not had that happen. So maybe they changed their policy. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Was there something else you wanted to show here, Brother Philip, as well?
No, sir. No. I just.
Oh, is that you?
I'm just afraid to close it because it'll never open again.
Okay. Seems like the tech tip here is just come and refresh if you have to. But Chris, were you going to chime in? I didn't know if you were waving it.
No, I'm just messing with my
to
floor.
chime in on that as well. Yeah. All right.
I just got a couple of little tiny tips that might help that we've learned over the last 3 weeks that I kind of wrote up real quick. I won't take time if you're up to me reading a few things.
Go for it.
If they can't see it and hear it, it's worthless. So make sure you get the audio down. Make sure they can actually hear it. So we actually do like a test live feed ahead of time and make sure that everybody at home, we have a few key people that are listening in ahead of time. Make sure
Hey,
you can
Brother
hear
Philip.
it and see it. Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure they get these tips, but for some reason there is a gnarly echo going on. If you could just refresh your tab, let's try that. Try refreshing your tab and hopping right back in. And while that's happening, yeah, some like he was saying about some tips of getting going. Here we are, live with Brother Philip again. So I'm going to go ahead and expand your screen there.
Is it better?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No. What's to be sorry for?
So I was just saying, if they can't hear it and see it, you've wasted your time. So make sure it's nice and clear. Test it ahead of time.
Yep.
If you're going to be doing this live, expect issues. It's going to happen. And even if you pre-record, expect issues and just work through them. The audience is on your side. They're not out to pick you apart. They got your back on this. So don't be upset if something goes wrong. Make sure you have a transition person in place. So between your pieces to your lesson, have a body ready to dive in there. So on our schedules every week, we have a transition person that is all they do is fill dead air. Dead air is like the death of radio, they used to say. And so we always have a face in there. And last thing is make it funny. I know that sounds so obvious, but you got to make it funny. You got to just make the kids laugh. That's what we hear constantly is the kids were laughing. They had a great time. Yep. And then when you sock it to them right at altar call with the spiritual, they're already emotional. They're already getting involved. And now they're into it. But the funnier, the better. And slapstick's great. Poke each other in the eye, tell silly jokes. Kids love it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic tips for the Philip. Okay, well, let's get ready to wrap up now. I see we're quite past OT here, but yes, my wife mentions you are the king of funny, Brother Philip, and I would second that. So you live
corny.
that life.
Corny.
No, it's awesome, man. It's amazing. Like I said, my kids are big fans. They recognize you immediately. Like, is that Brother Philip?
They recognize a fellow 5-year-old.
I was very excited. I was like, I'm pretty sure Brother Philip is that duck with those amazing jokes. So
yes, I was the duck.
Mr. Quackers. That was pretty amazing. That was awesome. Hey, this is something I want to quickly shout out. So we got a question here from James Peltier. So how do you get the song videos from YouTube or somehow download from other place? And here's what I use. I used to use a software called vDownloader. It hasn't been working as well for me. I actually found an online way to do this. It's called SaveTheVideo.com. It's quite annoying in that it pops up like an extra tab and tries to advertise to you, but you get past that annoyance. It's very effective in being able to download in different formats of audio or video. So that's my tip. What do you guys have for tips? How do you guys handle that?
I'm posting in the chat. However, I want to give a big caveat. Have an ad blocker on a lot of these sites. These sites, anyway, they're not Christians. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So have an ad blocker. So I'm going to put a YouTube download. And these are, so I just put them in there. So I have a YouTube to MP3 for getting songs and then YouTube download for getting video.
Cool.
Those are the ones I use, but they change all the time because they get shut down. So these are what I have now.
Yeah. So that may be true for my tip too with the SaveTheVideo.com. But hey, it's working right now. So, Brother Ray?
We're just using iTunes on our end.
Good for you guys. Yes. Yar.
Sorry, we're paying for our content.
Yeah.
Y'all are throwing away God's money.
It's my money, brother. It's an
I'm
offering.
joking. I have Spotify too. I have Spotify.
No, so I don't pay for Spotify, I'll tell you that. But actually Tyler Hodge recommended Apple Music.
Interesting.
So I pay for Apple Music, but then but a lot of my kids' music I've had for years, and so and plus, if you're using the DJ mixer, you
Mhm.
have to use purchased music. You can't use Apple Music with it. It won't
Oh,
translate. But a
Same
lot
with
of our kids'
SoundCloud.
music, yeah, we'll keep it and we can use it in there.
mhm.
Yeah, so all those DJ apps have to have physical files on the computer. So you got to have the file, and that's why that YouTube downloader is key. So even if you got like Spotify or whatever, you won't be able to tie that into a DJ app.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's wrap up with parting thoughts. Brother Philip, that was a fantastic wrap up. Is there anything else you want to add before we go around everybody? And
Yeah, here's a super. This is the number one takeaway is don't get overwhelmed by what you've heard today. Just do something. Doing something for your kids is better than doing nothing.
agreed.
I don't care if you're doing it on Zoom. I don't care if you're recording it and giving them a CD to their house. I don't care. Just do something, and it'll be better than nothing, and it will improve. Every week will get better. It'll evolve. But don't be overwhelmed with this stuff. If you have questions about anything we've talked about today, don't just shut down and say this is hard. Hey, well, I'll put my phone number in the chat. Give me a call. I'll be happy to help if I can, and I'm sure the rest will as well.
Agreed. Awesome. Brother Ray?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I think is important is allow yourself to have the fun moments that you're just going wild, but also allow yourself to have the spiritual moments. And there are times that we're praying on video, we're praying on live stream, and we let the Holy Ghost move and we start speaking in tongues. I think that is vital, because if we don't allow that to happen, our kids are never going to see it unless they're seeing it at home. And if you have bus kids that are listening like we do, they're not hearing that at home. So they need to be attached to the church and to the Holy Ghost at some point. And I think that's the part where you have to make sure you take that time and allow the Spirit of God to move in those moments. If anybody has any questions, you can always message me at Kingdom Minded Podcast. And trust me, everybody is a community. We're sharing stuff together. If you guys have any questions, you can reach me there. Message me on there. I'll put it in the link as well.
Perfect. Okay. Brother Chris?
I'll say, because you can't please all the armchair warriors, and just do your thing, give the kids everything you got, and God's going to help you. It's all going to work out. This is all for a reason, and the church, and we're just going to do this thing, and God the glory. That's all I got. I'm short-winded.
Amen. No, that's perfect. That's fantastic. I echo what you all say there on that. These were things where we tried to give a couple different ways and a couple different options depending on what you're comfortable with. But the most important thing is, hey, we are in a situation right now where this is pretty much the only way we can reach our kids. So the thing that I want to end with is, let's make sure to keep the main thing here on this. And what I mean by that is just, I know for me, it's very tempting to be able to just get sucked into a black hole of wanting to mess around with special effects and stuff like that too, where that could be the other side of this, right? Where you worry so much about trying to make the content cool that you could very much miss the end point, which should be, how do I make sure that even when we're not in front of our kids anymore, that they can feel God, right? And so, my tip overall with just, and I feel so bad for Brother Philip if he's going to get all these crazy calls. it's gonna be like, like the phone version of toilet papering your front lawn.
We don't toilet paper anymore, brother.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's
It's a
Send it to me.
commodity.
that's true. That's true. Now, that would just be wasteful, people. So with what I want to say and ending and thinking about it, really what's changing is that we still want to offer an experience where these kids are feeling God, but now in their living rooms. And so I encourage everybody, let's work backwards from that. Whereas you're planning, like still keep that at the forefront of your mind. Hey, in everything that we're doing, that this still needs to end in some type of spiritual experience for these kids. If you're going to be doing an altar call, if you're doing, the flip side of that is if you're not doing kids church and it's truly a Sunday school format and it's just online, cool. Still, like, how do you then from that objective make it so that you keep that end in mind of that? Then how do I make sure that the content aligns with these kids having truly learned something, right? Like mess with the format to make sure that it's in a way where you're still hitting your objectives. But those are the things that I would say can be the gotchas here, where you may get so caught up with trying to make it interesting and doing cool effects for those of you that are pre-recording that you run out of energy on the spiritual portion of things. I know when we get to the final segment, when we're trying to make sure that the final lesson and the altar call is happening from a video perspective, that we stop and we pray. We really make sure that we're praying well before we actually record that last session, because we want the altar call portion to genuinely be impactful, right? So, so with that, there's a lot of challenges for sure, but what I think is really neat here, there was a question about this on, hey, with being forced to provide this, is anybody considering offering online Sunday school regularly in addition to on-site? I don't know. I don't know what you guys are going to be doing, but that may very well be a possibility, for many of us now that the doors have been opened on this. And what I think is really neat is, as a parent, I like that there is so much more wonderful apostolic content that's out there for my kids to be able to be enriched by. So I encourage you all, just like the rest of the crew said, just do it. Just hop in, figure it out as you go. And there's all of us here that are on this call behind you guys being able to help. And Brother Philip is happy to take your call at 3 a.m. in the morning, or weird texts. And, if you want to text weird pictures or other things like that of your equipment, feel free to do so. The number listed on the
Send him a
side.
picture of your sock right now.
I'm regretting my life choices right now.
Brother Philip, there's I was recording and I've got this weird thing on my foot. I was wondering if you could give me your personal opinion on it.
Thank God for airplane mode.
So so I want to thank you all so much. And Brother Chris and Sister Mallory, thank you again for joining us.
Oh no, we're in the house.
Are
We're
you
chilling on
joining
the
us from
couch.
the hospital? Are you guys still at the hospital? Oh, okay. I was like, oh, that is amazing dedication. I'm like, oh, Wi-Fi hotspot in the hospital. I was like, oh my word. But either way, it is amazing dedication. So thank you both. That was very valuable getting to hear from you guys. And Brother Ray, same thing. If you guys have not checked out his podcast, it's Kingdom Minded Podcast. He's also on Instagram as well. So as he mentioned, you got questions on some of the stuff he's doing, hit him up on Instagram. Brother Philip Booker also is apostolicssundayschool.com. And you are also Apostolic Sunday School on Instagram. What other ways that people can hit you up besides texting you and calling you?
I just gave it all, put it all out there, brother.
Number. I have his second number if you guys want it.
On YouTube, Apostolic Sunday School or Apostolic Children's Ministry on YouTube. But
awesome. Yeah. And what about you, Brother Chris and Sister Mallory? Any things that you guys want to mention on some of the stuff you guys are doing up to, and other ways for people to check out what you guys are doing? Oh yeah, just if there's just wanted to give you a chance if there are things you want to mention on
I was
ways
just
people can
typing it
check
out
out
in the
what you
chat.
guys are
Then we're on
doing, what you're up
Instagram,
to.
Facebook, and YouTube.
I know you mentioned about the YouTube
ALC
channel
Dayton. If
where
it
the
says, "Did you
services
mean
are at
CLC Dayton?" That's
right
not
now,
us.
but perfect. Okay. And you can also get in touch with me on Instagram at NextLevelKidmin, and website for this stuff. This will be posted on the NextLevelKidmin.com website as well, and also on YouTube later on. But again, thank you all for joining us tonight, and thank you again to our panelists. This was really great stuff. But please, yes.
One blessed thought, and I'll leave you alone, I promise. We had people that couldn't find us on YouTube, whatever. So I actually bought a domain. I went to GoDaddy and spent like $8, and you can forward that domain anywhere you want without buying hosting. So
Cool tip.
I put it in the chat, but I bought sslive.org.
Yeah.
And so that's all everybody has to go to. They go there and it takes them straight to the YouTube channel with the current live playing. So something super cheap that you might want to look into.
Awesome. Great tip. That is an awesome final tip. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. With that, I'm sure other tips will come to mind, and you might see us posting some of that stuff. But let's keep the conversation going. As you guys are hopping into the fray and doing these things, feel free to get in touch with us. This was the start of the conversation. Let's not let it be the end of the conversation. So, thank you, everybody, and God bless.